Good morning, everyone. I would like to call Day 2 of the California COVID-19 First Responders Conference to order. The polls are open. At this time, I would like to present a special award to the Visalia firefighters for hosting the 2019 CSFA Conference. Ray Ramirez, will you please come forward? Oh, don't worry, he's not going to get off that easy. So on behalf of CSFA and the executive leadership and all the members, thank you so much, Ray, for taking the lead on what was our last really nice conference, obviously, and then COVID came and impacted the entire world. So just a little token of CSFA's appreciation. So thank you very much to Ray Ramirez and the Visalia Fire Department. Speech? Come on.
Not gonna get off that easy. So obviously that was the last time we really had a in-person conference with a number of attendees, and hopefully we'll be able to do the same thing again soon, get out of this COVID situation. I've always said, there in Visalia, those of you who've been there, it is a nice town once you get into town. We don't have a beach, we don't have an amusement park, so just like the conference we did prior to that, we had to create some really fun stuff for the attendees, and I think we pulled it off again this last conference that we held there. But appreciate all the support. Can't do without this group. This is the 80-20 rule, 20% of the people doing all the work for everybody else, and we're just one component of this whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Ray. I would now like to call for host departments for the 2022 and 2023 CSFA conferences. If anyone has anything, please come forward and announce the conference committee. At that time, we'll select a site and date. Hearing none, so at this time, we'll defer that to our conference committee, and again, provide updates with a site and a date for 2022 and beyond. We will now conduct a roll call of voting delegates. Esteban Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first off, we have John Breeden from Long Beach Fire Department, Kenneth L. Brondell Jr. from Los Angeles Fire Department. We had Richard L. Brown from Calaveras Consolidated, Robert S. Cordobas II from Los Angeles Fire Department, Anthony P. Dixon from Los Angeles County Fire Department, Edward A. Foster from Santa Barbara City Fire Department, Dennis E. Frazier from Los Angeles Fire Department, J. Mark Frederick from Penn Valley Fire Protection District, Gene Gant from Benicia, Brian Geiger from Los Angeles Fire Department, Robert B. Hamilton from San Rafael Fire Department, Charles E. Knapp from Barstow Fire Protection District, Dale Littner from Barstow Fire Protection District, Daniel C. Perkins from Kingsburg Fire Department, Ray I. Ramirez from Visalia Fire Department, David Santos from Colton Fire Department, Eddie Sell from Long Beach Fire Department, Joe Stewart from Northern Sonoma County Fire, and Michael Zeich from Beverly Hills Fire Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Esteban. Okay, at this time, there's going to be an open forum. Do we have any questions regarding the committee reports that you found in your packet? And if so, please, since we're videotaping our ceremony, ensure that you please stand, state your name and department, and clearly state whatever your question or comment is. Okay, at this point, Edie Meston, we are at the point where, regarding the polls and just assigning the observers, is that appropriate at this point? Just since we're a little ahead on schedule, so I'm just going to the folks in each division. You're able to select your own tally observer, one for each division. So, and if you guys need any assistance with that, please, Edie Meston will help you to ensure that process, or Dennis that we have in the room, can help and make sure that that process is done appropriately. Let's see, what time do we have right now? Well, are we, Edie Meston, what do you want to do time-wise since we're ahead of schedule in the polls?
I think we can do two things. We can let people vote. We can also, thank you. I think we have two things we can do. We can let people vote. We should also encourage people to check out. Check out is at 11 a.m. So it'll be a good time for you to check out, pack your bags, stow in your cars, do your vote. And then I think at 11 o'clock is when the polls close. 10:45 is the 15-minute one.
So that's correct. So if everybody can ensure that you have cast your ballot, this would be a good time to then ensure that you check out of your room. And then we are going to be reconvening in here at 1 p.m. at the absolute latest, but lunch will be delivered at 12 noon. So the idea is we can have a working lunch and continue kind of getting through the day fairly quickly. So if that sounds good, Dennis, would it just be appropriate to just adjourn right now and then recess? So at this time, let's take a recess. And again, just so you're aware of the benchmarks, 10:45. We'll announce that the polls are closing in 15 minutes, and at 11 a.m. the polls are closed. Thank you. We are reconvening. At this time, we are going to announce the election results. We're going to have J. Mark Frederick come and assist with the reading of the election results.
Since my voice travels, I won't get too close to the microphone. For President, Eddie Sells. For the North, Tom and Joe retain their seats as directors. And from the Central, we have Ray Ramirez and Dan Perkins. For the South, Robbie Cordova, John Breeden, David Santos, and Mike Zykes.
Thank you very much, J. Mark. I'd also like to, certainly give recognition to Richard Reed and Brian Geiger for their service to CSFA. Thank you, both of you, for your service. At this time, we're going to have our parliamentarian, Dennis Frazier, come up and give some explanation on the election process.
Because of not having the conference in 2020, we had some discrepancies in trying to do how to do the voting and all that. So what I wanted to explain to everybody is that the voting for directors and for president are all for 2 years, even though it may have said 1 year on the ballots. But the bylaws require that the people stay in their position for that length of time until they are resign or until they have somebody come in and take their place that is duly elected. So what ended up happening was there would be a continuation of the presidency, which was Eddie Sell took over because Mike resigned in December, but his presidency was up in 2020. So that will be a time when the president will be elected again in 2021. So the vote for the presidency was for the 2020 year. Everybody clear with that? So next year, assuming we do have a conference, as we try to do every year per the bylaws, we will be voting for president again. And for the directors, it was a little confusing because even when it said 1 year, it was actually the full 2-year term, and where it said 2 years, it was actually the remainder of the 2-year term. But there is no 1-year term as it said on the ballot. So just to be clear, from the North, Joe Stewart will be up for re-election in 2022. Tom Carlisle will be up for re-election in 2023. In the Central, Ray Ramirez will be up for re-election in 2022. Dan Perkins, that was newly elected, will be up for re-election in 2023. From the South, Mike Zeik will be up for election in 2022, and David Santos, that was just elected, will be up for re-election in 2022. Robbie Cordobas will be up for re-election in 2023, and John Breeden will be up for re-election in 2023. So hopefully that clarifies what we did and why we did it, and when the next voting will take place for the directors for next year and the year following that. Are there any questions that anybody has on that process? Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we're going to move into the resolutions, and I'm going to have Resolutions Committee Chair Dale Lintner, please, to assist with this.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank my the other guys that were on the committee, Chuck Knapp and Dick Brown, to give them a round of applause. So we have four resolutions to consider. The last two are bylaws changes, and those are normally put at the end of the resolutions. So this is going to be Resolution 0221. Whereas California has witnessed a steady increase in wildfires and their associated destruction, including 6 of the 20 most destructive wildfires in the state's history occurring in the past year, and whereas amidst historic dry conditions, high rates of tree mortality, and landscape management needs, experts predict the high level of wildfire severity will remain. And California now spends over $2 billion a year on wildfire response efforts, but historically a fraction of that on resource management and community preparedness activities. And California has lost over 130 lives and 35,000 structures and suffered $47 billion in direct damage in the last 3 years. And whereas wildfires will happen and the fire service will not be able to extinguish all of them in time to save all the people and communities in their path, and science-based mitigation strategies can protect communities and reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, has launched Outthink Wildfire, a push for comprehensive set of policy strategies to end the destruction of communities by wildfire, the 5 Outthink Wildfire tenets define a holistic approach to reducing the risk of wildfires to communities. And persistent progress on these 5 fronts by all levels of government will significantly reduce the wildfire communities to communities. And now therefore be it resolved that CSFA endorse Outthink Wildfire as a holistic approach to the end of destruction of communities from wildfire, and be it further resolved that CSFA will encourage and support legislation and rulemaking that will build a comprehensive wildfire mitigation approach within California addressing these 5 tenets. Number 1, all homes and businesses must be retrofitted to resist ignition. 2, current codes, standards, and land use practices must be used and enforced. 3, fire departments must have sufficient resources to protect their communities. 4, vegetative fuel management must be a priority. And 5, a well-informed and motivated public must embrace its role in reducing wildfire risk. This resolution is submitted by Ed Foster, Santa Barbara City Fire, retired. Committee consultation was Ray Bizzle, Fire and Life Safety Committee. The resolution has a minimal financial impact on CSFA. The committee recommendation is 3 ayes, no, and 0 abstention.
Thank you, sir. We have a resolution on the floor. Do we have any comments from our attendees regarding the resolution? Yes, sir.
Mike Knight, Sandoval Fire. I just have a question about it. It says that all homes and businesses must be retrofitted for existing condition. Some of the major resolutions, let's speak to that point at all about that.
Ed? Yeah, absolutely. Or who? I heard most of it. Do we have somebody that could speak to the motion, the specific question from Director Zeich? Go ahead. Yeah, you know what? Please repeat it in the mic.
So Mike Knight, Beverly Hills Fire. So I have a question regarding the statement that says all homes and businesses must be retrofitted to resist ignition. And I'm just curious if you could speak a little bit more to that, Ed.
The wording in the Outthink Wildfire Program is really designed to give purpose or direction to what the Outthink Wildfire Program principles are. In order for that program to be successful, that the way that this statement is made is to ensure that there's a focus on retrofitting homes that are in the wildland urban interface.
All those in favor of resolution 2.
It doesn't really say how that will happen, other than
And then on
look for
the
the
bylaws,
bylaws.
we're going to have those
Support
are
for financial.
on the last two.
We'll have
that stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm
Reimbursement.
When we get
Cash. That's the reason for the verbiage.
everybody is here. That's your roll call.
Another question?
I can help you with that.
Joe Stewart, Montgomery County Fire. I too just have just concerns with the wording where it says that must be retrofitted. It almost implies that we are seeking legislation to require retrofitting. And I fully support this if we make it clear that we are not requiring anyone to do retrofitting, that we're encouraging. And I think that's basically what you were saying, but it just feels like it's implying that it must be, or we're seeking legislation for that. I don't know if it's possible to amend the resolution, but that's just my concern.
In terms of amending the specific verbiage in this program, we don't have any kind of authority to do that. The program is developed by NFPA. It's a recommendation. NFPA doesn't develop standards, but it does develop codes. And the only way to actually require that would be to convince the legislature to pass codes that would require that to be done and to support some sort of provide some sort of financial support for it to be done. But this program is really a recommendation from NFPA, and they're trying to adopt this program as a facility, if you will, so that not only in California, but in other states where there are wildland fire interface areas, there's some sort of consistent policy, if you will, for the legislatures in those states to do some action. That's what this document is looking for.
One last question. So the 5 tenants back there, those are 5 things, right? Sorry. The 5 tenants, that's from this program.
Yes, that's correct. And I do
Those
have,
are set, what you're saying.
I do have the actual, there are one-page description of what those tenants really mean. I didn't want to take total time to read all 5 of those. They're available on the website, and there's some further explanations from their program as to what each of those 5 tenants would entail. But the suggestion here is that CSFA support this. In California.
Do we have any additional questions or comments on that resolution? Yes, sir.
Mike, can I cover those fire? Is it okay if I make a comment?
Please.
So that, I guess that's my only thing. I just don't want to get into, I don't know if like I get paid that that's the comments from the program. But it feels weird for me being okay with requiring somebody to spend money to retrofit their house, you know what I mean? But I'm all for it. I guess I just hung up on that one little thing. But if that's said, that's all. I was just curious if that was kind of the intent. I guess.
Yeah, I hope I've explained that properly in that the requirement to retrofit would have to come from the code or regulation adopted by the state of California. This program just generates some substantial direction what NFPA thinks should happen.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing or hearing none, let's call for a vote on Resolution 02-21. All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Thank you. Resolution 02-21 passes.
Resolution 0321. The California State Firefighters Association, CSFA, financial health is challenged due to the listing of Historic Political Activity Committee, PAC, debt on its books and recent declines in large department membership. And whereas, in an effort to constrain expenses, CSFA has eliminated costly association management and legislative advocacy contracts and has restructured and streamlined the organization's operations and specifically reimagined the purpose of CSFA PAC to be of greater service in local political matters. And whereas future CSFA PAC monies will be awarded as grants to help fund local member political campaigns, including tax measures, district, city, county campaigns, and other approved local issues as determined by the CSFA Board of Directors. And whereas the current budget shows that CSFA owes the PAC approximately $377,000 from not properly funding the PAC in previous years, and that the historic and inherited PAC debt will be a continual budgetary challenge. Now, therefore, be it resolved that CSFA forgive the legacy PAC debt while continuing to maintain the current 5% allocation from annual membership or member dues to fund the PAC in its mission. This resolution submitted by the CSFA Board of Directors. The committee consultation was Vern Losh Political Action Committee. The resolution will have a positive financial impact on the organization. The committee recommendation was 3 ayes, no noes, and no abstentions.
For Resolution 03-21, submitted by the committee or Political Action Committee, Vern Losh, do we have any representatives from the board that would like to speak on behalf of this resolution?
Well, certainly not from the board, but I'll share with you the finances that go along with this. As you may be aware, at several conferences ago, you had a $377,000 PAC debt, and that has not come down whatsoever. Our budget has gone from $1 billion below $600,000 a year. Our annual PAC contribution to date is about $27,000. We pay $500 a month to an attorney's firm to keep us in check with legal requirements and filing requirements to be able to do that. So if you were to subtract the roughly $6,000 a year of annual cost to maintain the PAC, and you look at the thereabouts $27,000 a year that you have in PAC, you would be left with about $21,000 a year. There's truly no way for you to pay back that. And we haven't really taken into account what happened when we lost Long Beach or Berkeley Fire Departments. That has not been reflected in the budget because those cuts happened after the adoption of the final budget this year. The only other way really to repay the PAC would be for CSFA to declare that they're going out of business and then take that year's membership dues and pay off all debts. So that's the numbers and how it sits.
Thank you, E.D. Meston. Yes, sir.
Hamilton, past president of CSFA, Sandoval Fire Department, retired. I want to speak in support of this resolution for several reasons. The first one was that the money that was not received by PAC in the years effective, though they were directed by a previous member of the previous administration, they were legally used for functions. The legal attorney did verify that they were legal funds to be used for the payment of the legislative contract or other legislative type issues. So that the funds were not used frivolously. When the last time this came before the body, basically, as I see it, you're taking the money out of your right-hand pocket of CSFA to pay it to the left hand. At this point in time, we don't have that luxury with the current state of the finances. And given the fact that the mentality was that it was used wrongly, and maybe it was used improperly, but it was used illegally for other functions that could be construed as legislative, I support the fact of the resolution as it forgives the repayment of the remainder of that from the PAC.
Thank you, Bob. Are there any questions or comments for Bob while he's up? Do we have any other questions or comments?
Joe Stewart, Northern Director, to obviously support this resolution, and I think it should be noted that if for some, I guess, miracle, we turn our finances around rapidly, we can always allocate additional money towards future PAC contribution, because I think we all know that that's really part of why we're here, and it would be appropriate for this body to adjust future budget considerations based on the amount of money they have and not be constrained by the overwhelmingly large debt to the PAC, which complicates things, I think, for our bookkeeper and just overall health of the organization. And also just one last thing that we have to continue to discuss every board meeting, every conference, and every other time we get together. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And
Mark Frederick, Penn Valley, retired PAC member since 1988. I've seen a lot of different things. I'd like to see if we can put this behind us because we continually talk about it, as Joe Stewart mentioned. So I call for the vote unless there's anybody else who wants to speak on it.
thank you, J. Mark. Any other questions or comments? Please stand.
Anthony Dixon, Los Angeles County Fire Department. I'm all for it, but I don't think we should give up our base in Sacramento. I don't think we should stop representing ourselves in Sacramento, because a lot of our elected officials and a lot of the people who are up in Sacramento, like the legislation that we're trying to put out right now, they recognize CSFA for our long-standing history of what we've done in Sacramento, what we've done throughout the whole entire state of California. So if we can somehow put that matter of the budget, you know, put it to work, but do not give up our face and our voice in Sacramento. We still have to keep that voice going and keep it loud going. That's all I got.
Thank you, Anthony. Any additional questions? Comments? Okay, let's call for a vote on Resolution 03-21. All those in favor, signal with the aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 03-21 passes. Thank you.
Resolution 0421. Whereas the California State Firefighters Association has suspended the rules for written ballots when there has been an uncontested election for the Board of Directors, and whereas it was discovered the practice of suspending the rules only applies to policies and not to the association's bylaws in Robert's Rules of Order, and whereas in order to legally not have a written ballot for an uncontested director position, the bylaws must have a provision to allow for these occurrences. Now therefore it be resolved that CSFA amend the bylaws, Article 6, 6.06, election of directors and presidents, ballots, to read, and I'll just read so the only thing that's changing is we're going to add the italicized verbiage, and I'll read that. Once the nomination process is complete and there is an uncontested position for the board, a written ballot for that one position may be suspended by a majority vote of members present. This resolution is submitted by Dennis Frazier, Los Angeles Fire Department, retired. Committee consultation was Dennis Frazier, Bylaws Committee, and the CSFA Board of Directors. There is a minimal financial impact on the organization. Committee recommendation, 3 ayes, no noes, and no abstentions.
Representative from Bylaws Committee. Dennis, do you have any comments on this resolution?
Just very quickly, I apologize that we have gotten it wrong for many years, even before I was parliamentarian, that we were doing this, and we thought it was okay. Many of us in this room thought it was okay, but it was found in the bylaw or in the Robert's Rules that it is required that you follow the bylaws, and that the only way you can do this is if there is a provision in the bylaws for eliminating the written ballots where they are required. So that's why we're doing it, to make it legal. It was something that I would have liked to have done for this conference because of the confusion with having 2 years of ballots this year, but we could not do it legally, and I didn't feel comfortable doing it. So other than that, I would just take any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions or concerns from the floor? Okay, seeing or hearing none, I call for a vote of Resolution 04-21.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I will now be doing a roll call for those in favor of Resolution 04-21. You can state your position as I call your name. John Breeden. Ken Brondell. Richard Brown. Robert Cordovas. Anthony Dixon. Edward Foster. Dennis Frazier. J. Mark Frederick. Gene Gant. Brian Geiger. Robert Hamilton. Charles Knapp. Dale Littner. Jeff Meston. Daniel Perkins. Ray Ramirez. David Santos. Eddie Sell. Joe Stewart. Matthew Tribber. Michael Zeik. Resolution passes.
Thank you, Esteban.
Resolution 0521. Whereas retired and life members are not classified as regular members in the bylaws for CSFA, which is a requirement to submit resolutions, and whereas retired and life members are classified as voting members in Article 4, 4.01c, and whereas all voting members should be able to submit resolutions along with regular members, Now therefore it be resolved that CSFA amend the bylaws, Article 5, 5.09K, Rule 11, to read, and the only thing that's changing is we're striking the word regular and adding and changing that to voting where it's concerned with members. So strike the word regular and insert the word voting. This resolution, I have a correction on the submission submitted by the Bylaws Committee. Committee consultation was Dennis Frazier in the Bylaws Committee, and also the Resolutions Committee was consulted. There is no financial impact on the organization. 3 ayes, no noes, no abstentions.
Thank you, Dale. We'll start off with the Bylaws Committee. Do we have any comments at all?
I'll answer questions if anybody has.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Dennis?
Yeah, well, we had just violated our own rules by passing that resolution from a retired member prior to this one.
I discussed that with resolutions just before this, and it was submitted by the Bylaws Committee to the resolutions. So it was submitted legally. They changed it to have me putting it in, which you are correct. As a retired member, I would not be able to submit a resolution, but I did submit it through the board and to the committee as the chair of the Bylaws Committee and not as a retired member.
Dale Littner, Barstow Fire, retired. That was an error on my part for putting Dennis's name in there as the person submitting the resolution. It actually came to us as the Bylaws Committee, and I changed it, which was an error on my part.
Thank you, Dale. Any other questions or concerns on this? Okay, Esteban.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now there will be a roll call for adopting the resolution 05-21. Please state your position.
Make a motion that we accept the vote from the last vote with the ability for those who voted A or aye to vote nay and use that vote.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Can you repeat that, please?
I make a motion that we use the last vote, last recall vote, with the ability of those that voted aye to change their vote to nay or abstain.
There was a motion on the floor, Mr. President, stated by Parliamentarian Dennis E. Frazier. Anyone who seconds that, please state.
Hamilton said, I'll second.
Second by Bob Hamilton of San Rafael. All those in favor, please. Resolution 05-21 passes. Thank you.
Roll any nays? Make that crystal
The
clear.
motion passed, and now you would ask if anybody else changed their vote.
So anyone changes the
Yeah.
vote?
Go ahead. I'm not going to keep switching mics.
My apologies. So those who will be changing their vote, please state who will be changing their vote. I hear none. Motion passes.
Dale, just want to, as you're walking back, just want to confirm you had nothing further, correct, regarding resolutions? Okay. Very good. So at this time, Edie Meston, we do need to do our oath of office. And for that, we'd like to please introduce Executive Director Emeritus Gene Gant to assist us with that. What's up, brother? Yeah. Do you want to do everybody? All at
Yeah.
once?
just
Why don't we
bring
do
everybody
everybody?
up. Yeah.
So-
Just ask everybody to come up.
Yeah. So why don't we have all the board of directors please come to the front? Board of directors to the front of the room, please.
Well, now the room is empty. Gentlemen, what we're going to do is I will administer your oath. So if you could put Robbie in his place and raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I solemnly swear that I will, to the best of my ability, execute the duties of the office to which I have been elected, provided by the bylaws of the California State Firefighters Association. So help me God. Congratulations. Oh, and the caveat is that I will buy Gene drinks at the next conference, and he doesn't have to pull out his wallet. So help me God.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Gene. Certainly means a lot as well, and we're glad to have you with us this year, and certainly hope you continue to come to many more, so thank you. Okay, at this time, I would like to ask our chaplain, Dick Brown, to come up and offer a closing prayer. Just want to briefly thank the Resolutions Committee as well for their hard work this year. Appreciate everything for that. Thank you very much to everyone for your submittals.
All righty, bow with me if you would, please. Father, as we bring our conference to a close this year, we were small but mighty, Lord, and we just thank you so much for those that have given of themselves for so long to serve not just CSFA, but the firefighters throughout the entire state that we represent. We give thanks for those that had served on the board. We pray for those coming on board now, Lord, that you would walk with them as well. Just continue for us to function as a united board. Lord, there's sometimes disagreements, sometimes some pretty intense discussions, but in the end, it is all done for the benefit of the boots on the ground firefighters throughout the state. We give you thanks for that. Father, I pray also for those that are traveling home today, that you would give them a safe trip now. And for it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Okay, so just so everybody is aware, the traditional post-conference board meeting will be held via Zoom on May 13th at 1900 hours. So make sure you guys are aware of that. Esteban will be sending out the meeting invite like he does. And, I just a couple of comments. I just want to thank our staff for everything that they did to put this conference together. Certainly appreciate our hosts here at Cache Creek. They were fantastic. And, I think you guys would all agree that even though this was a leaner conference, it was effective, and we were still able to get together and certainly bond, and I think continue on the trajectory that we are heading right now. So I encourage everybody, make sure that they take a look at CSFA again. Make sure that they go to csfa.net. All the things that I continue to say, and it's truly one member at a time, and that's what we're trying to do. So I just want to thank you for everybody's passion and commitment to keeping our organization alive and well, and certainly can't wait to see everybody celebrate our 100th. So let's all stay healthy, take care of yourself, take care of your families, and I'll continue to have you all in my thoughts and prayers as well. So I really appreciate that. And with that, I now declare the 99th Annual California COVID-19 First Responders Conference closed.